In this presentation, I'm going to cover the 3 key ingredients of a compost tea recipe and provide you with 3 compost tea recipes: a bacterial-dominant compost tea recipe, a fungal-dominant compost tea recipe, and a recipe for an equal ratio of bacterial and fungal compost. For all compost tea recipes, there are basically 3 key ingredients: water, compost, and a food source or nutriments for the microbes. The water must be dechlorinated or reverse osmosis water. Tap water typically has chlorine in the water. You do not want chlorine in the water, as it will kill the bacterial and fungal microbes in the compost tea. Chlorinated water can be used if it is filtered or by letting the water sit exposed to the air for about 24 hours, or aerating it with a bubbler for about 90 minutes. The next key ingredient is compost. Try to use a good quality finished compost. There are primarily 2 kinds of compost: bacterial compost, which is produced by mostly green materials and found in fresh compost piles, and fungal compost, which is produced by woody materials and may become more prevalent in the final stages of composting. The final key ingredient in making compost tea is the food and nutriment source for the microorganisms. The food source, in combination with the type of compost used, be it bacterial or fungal, determines the type of microbes grown. For example, sugar sources like molasses encourage bacterial growth, and kelp or fish sources encourage fungal growth. Humic acids and other ingredients act as both a nutriment and a food source for the compost tea's microbes. In this presentation, I'm going to offer 3 suggested compost tea recipes to make a 5-gallon batch of compost tea. These recipes will include a bacterial-dominant compost tea, a fungal-dominant compost tea, and an equal ratio of bacterial and fungal compost tea. Let's start first with the bacterial-dominant compost tea. This recipe consists of 5 gallons of water, 3 to 4 tablespoons of liquid blackstrap molasses, 4 teaspoons of dry soluble kelp or 2 teaspoons of liquid kelp, 3 to 4 teaspoons of fish emulsion, 1.5 pounds of bacterial compost, and then you brew it for 12 to 18 hours at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Next is a fungal-dominant compost tea recipe. This recipe consists of 5 gallons of water, 4 to 5 teaspoons of fish hydrolysis, and you need to let the fish hydrolysis sit in the water for about 10 to 20 minutes to fully dissolve, and then 3 to 4 tablespoons of humic acid, 2 teaspoons of yucca extract, 4 teaspoons of dry soluble kelp or 2 tablespoons of liquid kelp, 2 pounds of fungal compost, and again you brew it for 16 to 24 hours at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, there's the equal ratio of fungal and bacterial compost tea. This recipe consists of 5 gallons of water, 3 to 4 tablespoons of humic acid, 4 teaspoons of dry soluble kelp or 2 teaspoons of liquid kelp, 3 to 4 teaspoons of fish emulsion, 1.5 pounds of mixed 1-to-1 ratio of bacterial and fungal compost, and then you brew it for 16 to 24 hours at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit.